Hello everybody, Geo here. Today we're going to do chapter 26 for White Silk Lover. Saturday, May 1st, a little after 1 p.m. Tomas. Kobe stood on the curb, looking as if somebody had taken a sledgehammer to his world. Joey had her arm around his shoulders. Had he been crying? What had the doctor discovered? Wearing a hand brace and a sling, Kobe sort of smiled as we drove up. Pale, hardly moving, eyes very red. I don't think Kobe was having the time of his life. Joey said something funny because he smiled a little, but his face fell as the car approached. Kobe turned to Joey and said something. Her response looked like, "He'll still love you," and she gave his shoulders a squeeze. Bad news again. My biorhythms must be off, or maybe my lucky star fell into a toilet. Today was not my day. I climbed out of the car and gave Kobe a kiss. That got a full smile, at least. I helped him climb in. Albert helped Joey. "What did the doctor have to say?" I asked. I sat on Kobe's right side so I could hold his hand, his freezing hand. "Good news?" Kobe said quietly, leaning on me. "Bad news? Then good news." "Start with the good news," Albert said as we pulled away from the curb. "The doctor doesn't think it's permanent," Kobe said. "He gave me some medication for the pain and swelling, took x-rays of both arms and shoulders and hands, and I'm surprised I have any blood left." "Permanent?" I asked. Kobe frowned. He suspects that I've pounded my hands so much I might have damaged my tendons. Maybe even caused microfractures in some of the finger bones. They'll heal, but it's not a fast process. He said I've been treating my hands like sledgehammers, and if I want to go the long haul, I need to be finger friendly. He gave me some exercises, some websites to look at, and he's sending everything to my doctor back in Vegas, and wants him to double check the findings and recommendations. "That doesn't sound so bad," I said. "What's the bad news?" "He doesn't want my left hand touching any kind of keyboard, computer, typewriter, piano, electronic, for at least a month. My entire left hand needs time to heal. I can use my right hand as much as I want, as long as it's finger friendly. My left hand is on light use, maybe. In a week or two, once it stops aching, I can lift a can of soup, but nothing heavier." "That still doesn't sound so bad," I said. "My recital's in a week," Kobe said. "He doesn't recommend cortisone shots because it will mask the pain, and though I'll function, I risk more damage, possibly permanent damage." Kobe squeezed my hand and pain haunted his eyes. "My right hand isn't far behind." "We'll figure something out," I said. "Don't worry. What's the good news?" At last, Kobe had a genuine smile. He wanted you to massage both hands each night, stretching out my fingers, my wrist, at least until I go. Then I have to do it when I get home. That sounds kind of nice. Basically, it's all good news. Why the brace and sling? "To keep everything stabilized," Kobe said, "and remind me not to use my hand. Between the medication and brace, my hand doesn't throb anymore." Kobe had never even mentioned how bad it hurt. "I'm still not hearing anything terrible," I said. "Why do you look so depressed? So your arm takes a vacation for a month. Your hand gets massaged. Sounds ideal to me. Does this have something to do with the blood work? Why blood work for your hand?" Kobe didn't speak for a moment. An emotion flickered through his eyes, and he looked down. "I know it's a weird thing to ask, but can I stay till Monday?" "Don't you have a final on Monday? And don't you work afternoon shift at Bixby's?" "This is more important." His hand clutched mine, and the desperation in his eyes scared me. Kobe's fear must have transferred into me. This must be the news that terrified him. "What's special about Monday?" I asked. Kobe took a deep breath and his fingers tightened around mine. His voice was so soft, I almost couldn't hear it. The HIV test results come back. Saturday, May 1st, 1:15 p.m. Tomas. Oh my God. I didn't let go of Kobe's hand. What had he said back on Platinum? He wasn't ready for us to get close, to make love, because he was afraid his time on the streets had exposed him to HIV, and he never dared talk about it until last night. Kobe leaned away from me, his hands fidgeting. He glanced up at me for a second. A small, sad smile fluttered across his face and died. That look said one simple thing. It's okay if you kick me out. I'm not worth loving. Kobe pulled his hand from mine and he stared at his injured hand. Translation. I'm ready for you to say goodbye now. Kobe's pain was deeper than words could reach, could heal. I toggled the switch and the privacy window went up. I picked at the hand he had taken away and held it. Cold, slightly trembling. He tried to pull his hand away. I wouldn't let go. I placed my arm around his shoulders and kissed his forehead. His red eyes held mine for a moment and his mouth screwed up as he fought the emotion. All the words in the world wouldn't mean anything to Kobe right now. This might. I pulled him over to me until he rested his head on my shoulder, like last night. I held him and gently sang the song I had written for him, the song I had sung on the plane. I reached the last line and sang, Kobe, I love you. The dam broke on his emotions and he sobbed. 3 years of pain, of loss, of abandonment, of fear trickled down my neck. I held him and sang our song, letting him cry. Kobe, I love you. Albert glanced at us in the rearview mirror. Albert was good at his job. He knew when we needed to hurry and when we didn't. For a 10-minute ride, he kept driving around, waiting for my signal. Kobe finally cried himself out, but we didn't move. I didn't stop singing. Kobe, I love you. Kobe began to hum the melody as I sang. The color came back into his cheeks, and his hand warmed a little. Kobe, I love you. Kobe pulled back a little, his eyes very bloodshot and puffy, biting his lips. Why? Kobe whispered. Translation. Why would somebody like you ever love somebody like me? I wanted to tell him how caring for him kept me sane, how I looked at life differently now, how I found someone I could talk to, how he healed something deep inside, how the horrible emptiness that haunted me had vanished. Words wouldn't say what he needed to hear. I angled his head a little and kissed him. His cheeks tasted salty from his tears, but his lips were warm, trembling. His breath sobbed in and out. Kobe, I love you, I whispered. Let me help you. Saturday, May 1st, 1:45 p.m. Kobe. Tomas wouldn't let go of me even after he knew the truth. His kiss told me that he still accepted me, loved me. I laid my head back on his shoulder and held him. Saturday, May 1st, 2 p.m. Tomas. I nodded at Albert that we were ready, and we rode the rest of the way in silence. Not even the radio was on. Only the soft whine of the engine and the mild thrum of the tires on the road made any sound at all. We arrived at a gourmet burger place and took a seat. Albert and Joy sat at their own table, not far from us. Kobe ordered a barbecue portobello mushroom burger, and I ordered a bunless meat and bacon wonder for me. Once we were alone, Kobe ducked his head and stared at a fork. "I'm scared," he said in a very tiny voice. We were sitting opposite each other, so I abandoned my chair and scooted one next to him. I took his hand. It was still cold and shook a little. "I still love you," I said. "I can't afford to pay you back," Kobe said, not looking up. "For the doctor, the plane trip, the tux, the food, everything. I'm sorry." My brother whined about not having enough and expected more. Kobe barely had enough to survive and expected to pay his way for everything. Maybe I could give Kobe a little hope. "The insurance will cover the doctor, and everything else was set up by my record company. Just like Platinum, it's another cheap date," I said. "I take you to the cheapest places, so forget about money. Did you have fun?" "You know I did." "Good. This conversation is getting too serious," I said. "Let's play a game. I say one thing about you that makes me love you, and you do the same about me." "I need to ask you something." Our waitress returned, holding a pen and a menu, and smiling big enough to eat a cantaloupe. A whole cantaloupe. "Something wrong with our order?" I asked. "Your order's fine," she said, shifting from one foot to the other. "Are you Sterling Locke and Kobe Wood?" Joy looked up and edged her chair back a little. I could have lied, but I didn't. "We are. How can I help you?" "I knew it. I knew it," she said. "You are both so much better looking in person than on my little computer screen, and this must be your first date, and I don't mean to interrupt, but can you sign my menu? I'm your biggest fan, and I'll be at your concert tonight, and it's an honor." "You first, Kobe." As I held the menu down, he signed it, and a small smile broke free from the tears. "Your turn." I did, and the waitress hopped away. "Okay," I said. "I'll go first. You have always let me be Tomas, and I can relax around you. Your turn." "Anything?" Kobe said. "Anything," I said. "I'm jealous of your abs, and I hope you'll let me work out with you sometime, so I can copy your routine." At last, Kobe was starting to relax. "I can go with that. My turn. We harmonize well together." "You listen," Kobe said. "Thank you." "Mr. Locke and Mr. Wood, can I have your autograph?" She was young, I guessed 12. She passed a pen forward and a notebook, and we both signed it. "Is it like this everywhere Sterling goes?" Kobe shifted his arm and head a bit. "It is. You get used to it. Most people are quick about it," I said. "Next thing. I like the way your whole face lights up when you smile." That took Kobe by surprise. "It does?" "I love seeing it. It makes kissing you so much more sexy." Your turn. "You made my song into something special." "We made it into something special, and you helped me with mine too." Kobe reddened a little and quietly said, "You made me feel like I was someone special." "That's because you are, boyfriend." As I lowered my voice, I pulled him closer to me. "This weekend has been completely bonkers, but I'm glad you came." Kobe's mouth widened and his mouth quivered. "You are? Even after last night? Knowing about me? About the blood test?" "Especially after all that," I whispered. "You're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. I think you need a little more convincing. Come here." We leaned in for another kiss. The noise of a shoe scuffing carpet interrupted us. Our waitress and a young chef came out, bearing our food and an enormous plate of fresh vegetables and a dip. We sat up. I was still holding Kobe's hand. Good news. It wasn't cold anymore. "I think you have the wrong table," Kobe said. "We didn't order a vegetable plate." "You were right. It is him." The young chef was around 20, skinny, reddish-brown hair, with a dozen zits on his face. I knew this guy, Eli, the college guy from the album signing 2 days ago. The hazards of going out in public. Sam didn't realize what he had done. I'd be furious later. Les was right. No more alcohol for my brother. "These are on the house," our waitress said, setting them on the table before us, as well as our burgers. "I hope you don't mind, but Eli wanted to meet you." "Hi, I'm Eli. You probably don't remember me, but I was at your signing the other day, Mr. Locke. I guess you didn't need to know that." Eli took a breath. "Mr. Wood, I really wanted to meet you and get your autograph, and you were an inspiration because it really inspired me, and I've adopted your routine. And I'm not very good, at least not yet, but I'm getting better." Eli set a paper on the table and a pen. I had to chuckle, because this was exactly what Kobe needed. I slid it over to Kobe. It was the fitness article about Kobe that Monica had written weeks ago. Kobe glanced it over, then looked at it again. "Wow, I'm only 6 pounds away from my goal now. This was a good routine, too. You kept this?" "I have it memorized," Eli said, almost hopping from foot to foot. "Same day rotation as you, except when I have to work late. Same exercises. I joined a gym. I'm like you, except I'm having trouble going vegan. I like cheese too much, and I'm trying to gain weight." "Take it slow," Kobe said, finally smiling. He turned the paper over and wrote on the back, "This is my current routine with day rotation and the exercises I focus on this month. I switch it up every month, so I don't get bored." We both signed it, and Eli must think he had another solid gold ingot to go with Javier's pick. They disappeared in the back and we ate. The vegetables had some kind of mustard sauce. I should have ordered what Kobe had. It looked better. I'm about to have a major carb binge, twice in one day. My trainer is going to be furious with me. "The thing I like about you," Kobe said, his smile lighting his face up, "is the wild way your hair looks when you get up in the morning." I had to smile. Kobe's going to be all right. His lips tasted of the mustard sauce, and they didn't tremble anymore. Thank you, everybody, for joining me for Chapter 26. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time. Peace.